Welcome back, guys. I'm Mellowseven. This is Football Manager 2018. We are in Poland. Still, we have taken our 3-month-long freaking break. We have done our transfer window. We played our friendlies that were set up. We played our first match back against number 1 in the league, and we are ready for a match that, we'll see. We'll see. Let's see how it's gone, first of all. I guess it was the transfer window. Let's start about transfer windows first. Not really a lot going on, is there? We sent a few players out. Malkowski wasn't spectacular. He was complaining that he wasn't starting and that he was better than everybody else. And I really didn't have anything else to do. And he's not bad. He was a great backup. But he wasn't better than who I had. Although I really did like his positioning of 14. He's a youngster. I wish I could have kept him. But he was causing too much of a ruckus for who he was. So we let him go. Pavel Swerdowski, an offer came in. I had no money in my transfer window. So we decided he's 17 years old. He's got good physicals. And he's brave. First touch is decent. Tackling is decent. But he's probably not going to be to make or break this team in the next 3 years, although he would be good 2 or 3 years down the road. But the money came in. We went ahead and took it. And then we have loaned out Michael. Now, I was going to take about a 2-month vacation. I did it in 2 1-month chunks because there was nothing going on. We had no games. There was nothing happening. So he came up and wanted more first team. And I had the captain talk to him. He dropped it. I went on vacation. I came back from vacation, discovered that the game had decided, he had brought back up his request to play more, but I was on vacation. So the game apparently just assumes you tell him to shut the fuck up and go away. And so when I come back from vacation, I discover that I've had a huge fight with him that I didn't have because I wasn't there, and that I've told him he's not getting any play time, which I didn't tell him because I was on vacation, and that now everybody's pissed off at me. On top of that, I find out that one of our other main players, the mid center that had been injured the entire time, had wanted to discuss how it had fallen out with me. But because I was on vacation, I apparently told him to shut the fuck up and go away. And so apparently also I had another huge fight with him, which has then brought the locker room atmosphere down, which meant that he then had a concern that I had lost the entire team and everybody hated me. All because I'd gone on vacation for 2 weeks and the game just decides to play these things out in the worst possible way. Rather than delay them, have some option that says he's on vacation, he'll talk to you as soon as we can. There were no games played, not even a friendly. Nothing happened. And yet somehow the game decides to rotate these things through. So that's a problem. It's probably working as intended. It shouldn't be intended to work that way. I don't think it's a bug. I just think it's messed up. That's my personal opinion. And so everything just snowballed because of one meeting that I wasn't there for a concern that the player had already dropped. I don't know. I went in, I tried to have a team meeting over it, and it said there's no reason to have a team meeting. I hit continue one time, and the next day it says, you need to have a team meeting to discuss this. Not everything new, all the exact same stuff that was going on yesterday, but yesterday was not a day I was allowed to have a team meeting to discuss the problem. I had to wait. At which point I told them that they were all being completely unprofessional and they needed to shut up and do their jobs. And oddly enough, that worked. Because I didn't have any other options that were even remotely about anything that happened. The options were all essentially about the fact that I had told them to shut up and go away and they were worth nothing. Or just completely cave and say, I'm sorry, I was completely wrong. But considering none of it happened as far as I'm concerned, none of those were legitimate. So there was no option that says, I was on vacation. I have no idea what you're talking about. So that's what we did. More or less brought people back into the fold, and we haven't been fired yet. All of this after going undefeated on a team that was on its way to being relegated, and it just fired its coach. So you'd think that would get me a little bit. The fact that I've stepped in and was undefeated? No, not the case. Anyway, ultimately, the funny thing is, I never did promise Michael playtime. But we had people that came in for a contract offer for him. And I looked at him and I said, I really don't want to play him today, but I would really like to hang on to him. I think he's worth money if nothing else. So I gave him a new contract, renegotiated a new contract for him. And that made him happy. Great, I said. So we played him through some. Let's come back to Michael. Michael was happy at that point. The important thing is I started to get additional notifications that people were offering end of contract transfers to my players. And when I looked, only 3 of the players I had a contract lasting beyond the end of the year. Everybody else's contract ended in June. Everybody. So you can see how many games that's left. That's these games, and everybody was gone. Except for Michael, I believe the goalkeeper, and one other random sub. So I went through and I looked at the players that I thought I wanted to keep long term. And I had a couple of extensions I could offer. And then the rest I told the director of football to negotiate new contracts, which he did. So now we have at least a core that's going to go beyond this season. Now, the games that we played without you, I mentioned that we had gone undefeated for 4 games. We had. You saw the first one here. This was the match against Baitovia Baituv. We followed that up. Whoops, we really want to click all the way on it. With Resovia, this is a team we should beat. As you saw maybe briefly, they were in 17th in position at the moment. And we did. We beat them 4-2. You'll see here that Setla got a penalty shot, and I believe was player of the match. Then we followed this on with a 3-0 win over Polonia Warsaw, and Setla got another goal, and I believe was player of the match. And then we went on to play Olympia Mblog, and Jaworski and Hameluk got goals, and we won. This is the point where I had started Setla just to give him a try, right? I think we tried Michael here. Did we? No, but Setla got a goal, and that was their goal. So Setla got a goal for them before we took over. Then we took over here. We played Michael, who played a 6.4. So I put Setla back in. Player of the match, goal, player of the match, goal there. So the 3 games, out of 4, the 3 games he'd started out of the last 4 games we played, he'd scored a goal and was player of the match in 2 of them. So I decided that I couldn't really put Michael back in regardless of what his stats may see, which is why Michael ended up on the bench anyway. Although, as far as we're concerned, just for these 3 matches. And then he's demanding more playtime here. So go figure. Anyway, it was a mess. But we did okay. These were all matches we should have won, and they were matches we did win. This one was a little bit closer than I would have liked, but it is what it is. These 3 matches were all against top league teams. We lost 2 of them. We won 1 of them. I don't think we were embarrassed in any of them. That win was nice, but these were all teams that were lower league. We should have won every single one of these going away. Not a problem at all. You can see none of them even have an emblem in here. That's how lower league they are, that nobody's built one yet. And we only managed to win 1 of them, and it was only 1-0. Now, to be fair, I rotated the team in all 3 of those. We rotated almost everybody at half. I think every game except that one we did it. Maybe it was just this last one. This last one we did not rotate. I wanted to get my starters. I want to get my starters 1 big game here, but then if there were injuries, I wanted to have a little bit. So I started them here. It's essentially like the next to last preseason game for the NFL, right? And the last preseason game is all the scrubs. Although it looks like I stayed pretty consistent here. I did both of them. I didn't mean to. This one we rotated. This one we rotated, but later. Fair amount of guess we didn't do a lot of rotation because we're winning and I wanted to win. That's why we did it. A lot of rotation there. So anyway, so the next game that counted was against GKS Taishi. We lost by 2. we didn't play terrible. I mean, these are just because we gave up goals, but we had more chances than they did. Their just shooting was more accurate. They put twice as many shots on target. They had a couple more shots than us, but we had more chances. They just happened to put them on target, and we didn't. So this was a fairly close match, and GKS is first in the league, or was at the time, and probably still is. I guess we can look really fast. Yep, still are. So I'm not upset about losing a close match total stat-wise to number one in the league. That's acceptable. We should win this one. Now, we're a little bit scattered all over the place today, but when I went through and decided what players I wanted to keep and what players I didn't want to keep, it became clear I wasn't going to have a lot of options with that core. And I don't have a huge core. If we come here and we take a look at contracts, and we look at who we have for next year, and we go ahead and put some positions in here. Insert column, coaching. That's contract, coaching, best position. Okay, so attacking midfield right, defensive center, mid and attacking mid left, defensive right, mid center, attacking mid center. So right here, these are also our best players, essentially, right? So we have to run wingers and an attacking mid center. It says mid left there. He plays both very well, whereas the other guy mostly plays there. He can Michael, not spectacular up there. So, and then of course we have Setla, who has scored 3 goals in 3 out of 5 games for us and has been player of the match twice. And he's done the end of next year. So some of these were 2-year deals. Some of them were 1-year deals. But I did lock him up as well. But he also plays attacking mid-right. So amongst all that, I decided we're going to have to play something along these lines. This is what we're built for. We have a number of people that can also play defensive midfielder. It's possible we could run something like this as an attacking and then have something like this against the big teams. It's not a terrible idea, in fact. But for now, this is what it is. I've played it a little bit, not a huge amount. You can see this is our 4-4-2, which we've been playing the most. We've got 8 games started on that, 15 and 11. So more chances than against, although it didn't do well against the big teams. Although I think we just had half chances against the number one. Neither of us had a clear-cut chance. I think we had 3 half chances and they had 2. Similar, so it worked well against the smaller teams and not as well against everybody else. I've only put this one in. Only 2 starts. They're both smaller rated teams, 3-0. So I don't know how well it's going to do against bigger teams. But I figured we'd start playing it today. As far as the overall league competition goes, we're supposed to avoid automatic relegation. We've got 28 points now. 35 is the guess on average to avoid relegation. And the news is saying that probably you're not even going to need that much due to how bad players are doing. We are 20 of the way through 34, so we've only got 14 matches left. So we'll see. But essentially, I think we can experiment a little bit through here. If we can get 3 more wins out of those 14 games, we're probably safe, right? Because that would get us 9 more points, so 37 points. Maybe we only need 2 more wins. The biggest problem is just going to be keeping the team together if we do go on an extended losing streak. To that end, this is our dynamics at the moment. Match cohesion's good. Locker room atmosphere is okay. Three players that aren't happy. Adrian here, I just promised first team starts, which is one more reason why we're running with this position maybe instead of the 4-4-2, because he's not really very good as a mid-center, and I'd have to set somebody down who is pretty good there. This just came up between these 2 games. So we're going to get him. These 2 want to go out on loan. I've been offering them since before the transfer window opened. Nobody wants them. Don't know what I'm going to do about that. Leadership support is up some. We were down here. We're still poor, but we're not horrible. I am beginning to get strong relationships with a number of players. One thing you can do, if you get the little comment that says you're failing to positively influence players or whatever it says, every month, first of the month, come through here, check your training. Now, there's a few ways to do that. I use the Work the Space training guide, and it's going to tell you who's been training well or not. If everybody who's kind of this, kind of 3/4 and up arrow, I go through and I go to speak about, praise training level. And I do that at the beginning of every month. Anybody who's here, I go talk about, speak about, warn, criticize training level. And at least when it's not, here it's a crapshoot, can't really. Here they almost always say, you're right, I'm going to play better, and it counts as a positive. These guys usually, not always, but usually say, thanks for noticing, boss, love you too, and it counts as a positive. So that's a way to sneak those in. You can also once a month just come in here and we'll use the Loki Doki squad view here. And you can come here and look at last 5 games, and maybe you do the training one on the 1st, on the 15th, you come through and praise everybody who's about above a 7 for their recent form, right? And again, it gets you kind of a free positive thing. Anybody at any time, you can come in here and let's see, I wish it told us who the captain was here. Tactic, captains. You can come here. I like to do it for the captains, but you can do it for, you can come here and you can go speak about ambassadorial duties, praise player here. You can do this to any player, by the way, praise conduct. Now, I get more options because he's the captain, but you just come here and say, hey, you're doing a good job. I'd love to have you. And they say, hey, thanks. Another positive. You can't do this one a lot. But you can do it. If you've got somebody who's in a poor mood and you just can't quite figure, the other stuff is obviously not right. We've got Midzurki here. He's about to retire. He wasn't happy with my last press conference for some reason. His mood is fair. Let's come over here. We're going to go speak about praise player, conduct. The last one, it said, he says it's time to retire. What do you think? And I said, hey, if he thinks it is, then it probably is. I probably should have said, no, he's got lots in, but he doesn't. He doesn't. I didn't want him to not retire because, yeah. And they're plummeting. They were not this bad 5 games ago. So, what does his mood go up to? Fairly good. So we went from fair, I think, to fairly good. So we got one jump boost out of that. So positive interaction builds that relationship with those players and hopefully helps you in the locker room overall. So this is our team. We're on counter, flexible, drop deeper, stay on feet. That's all I've done so far. I don't really know what we're going to do. I'm putting Wisniewski in rather than Hamlik because just for speed purposes, just to give us a little bit more counter. I don't know if it matters. I'm just giving it a try. Give the youngster an attempt here, or a chance here to see what's going to happen. He's not bad. In fact, he's our best second striker probably. We weren't playing him as it, but he's been getting better, and I've been looking a little deeper into the squad, and he's probably, and there's Sloma injured. Damn it. Is he coming back up? We've had a lot of injuries as well. Lots of 4-week injuries. It's just we had 3 months off, so we had time to get over them. But I didn't boost training level because we're just having so many of them. No, we got to get them off. Who do we have for Sloma? We're going to put Jaworski in. I have a feeling that this entire team is really, really injury prone. Wow, this is a lot of buildup for not much game. We've had 4 shots, none on target. They've had 3 shots, none on target. I can turn replays on, I guess, and knock this back down, but it didn't matter because we didn't have any. Yeah, that was something. Far from pleased. I think that's fair. Although, again, we don't need a lot of points. At this point, we're just trying to get some games under our belt, see what type of chances we create. And to this point, 1 half chance. 1 for them as well. All 5 of our shots have been long shots. I'm going to change this. I have a feeling Wisniewski's just shooting to shoot, so we're going to put Hemlock back in there. See if that gets us some shots on target. It's hard to know which is key highlights because we don't really know what's happening. Are our wingers coming in and shooting, or are they actually crossing in? Nothing's happening. Kmech, I'm never going to learn how to spell his name. Adrian, we're going to go with Adrian. Is he taking shots like crazy? We've had one shot on target. And that was probably the non-long shot. No, 2 shots on target. There we go. Both not long shots. They got a non-long shot. Demand more. Zetla's playing terrible. Now I wish we had Michael. Our defense isn't playing spectacular either, although we haven't given up a goal, so I'm not... Urbanzak, he's the one that was bitching that I'd lost the team. Sikora. I'm not quite sure why his stamina is so poor. I guess we could look to see what his stamina actually is, because it's not good, but he should have come into this in decent shape. And that's match. 0-0 draw without a single highlight in the entire game. I'm sorry, guys. This should have been a win, but we clearly didn't. I mean, we got 12 shots, but only 4 on target. I would say at the moment Wisniewski was a bust. That's what I'm going to go with. Let's look at the analysis here. So most of the game was played on their third. That's what we're seeing, right? So, well, no. So if this is their goalkeeper and that's our goalkeeper, well, mostly in the middle. They had the ball here. We had the ball there. I would say we've got a few more hot spots on this side than they do. We spent a lot of time in here. They weren't able quite to move that far. But this is about what we expect. I mean, these are where our players are supposed to be. He's supposed to sit back. He's supposed to come forward. There and there. They're very similar. Did they have an attacking midfielder or did they run a defensive midfielder? Theirs is more like a defensive midfielder here with 2 midfielders here. But yeah, clearly we didn't get anything going, which is disappointing. So, dressing room. Oh, we did that already, right? Leave match. Now, like I say, we don't have to win a lot of games. You know, 6, 7 points may be enough to get us to where we want to go. We're still in 9th place. That's fine. We got about an 8-point lead over the relegation playoffs. Let's look at medical really fast. Well, let's see what our team injury is. 2 to 3 days. We can live with that. We'll send the assistant. I have been doing most of the interviews up to this point, but he was looking at Lucas. That's probably not going to help Lucas's stock because I don't believe he played very well in that match. I guess we could look to see what the final. No, he played a 6.3. Jaworski's the only one that played well with a 7.3. Maybe we try Jaworski as the striker next time. He can play everything up there, which makes him awesome. So we put Jaworski up there. Good crossing, good dribbling, good finishing. He's got acceleration, but not a huge amount of pace. Clearly, he's not a poacher. He's not really any of these. Defensive forward probably is the best for him. Maybe defensive forward on support if we were going to go that route. I just wish Hammerlock was faster. Pace of 7 is not enough, and he's 30 years old, and that's not going to get faster. So we really do need to come up with another option. But Wisniewski, he's got composure, leadership, off the ball, a tiny bit. I mean, Flair's not terrible. He has acceleration, pace is on the way up. Finishing should be good, but I mean, everything there says he should be able to score at this level. But I don't believe he has been. I don't know how many chances he's been given. He's had 3 appearances and he's averaged 6.5. He played a little bit better last season in a lower division on loan. I don't know. I don't think he's the future. Jaworski, he hasn't played spectacular either. 6 apparent ball, 2 goals and a player of the match in 6. I mean, that's better, but 6.93. Balicki, who is who we were playing as our second one. Maybe he is it. You know? No, 6.6. 2 and 3 in 16 appearances. Did a little bit better last season, but not hugely better. Still a 6.76. I mean, this was his only good season. I don't know that we have. I don't know that we have a striker that's going to take us forward. And you can see here, he hasn't been close to 7 for 4 years, right? When he played for Partizan. So I think striker's going to be an issue for us. What am I supposed to respond to? I already sent the assistant. Let's send the assistant again. Okay, medical, that's what I was going to take a quick look at. Season summary. This is how many they've had this season. This is how many they had last. So Balicki, clearly not the player of the future for us. If he's had 5 injuries this year, he had 9 last. Przybecki, 5 this season, 8 last. Hamiluk, 4 this season, 7 last. I mean, look at these. 6, 6, 5, 6. I mean, these are not good numbers. Vigil had 6 last season. Setla had 6 last season, too. They haven't had any this season, luckily. But, I mean, this is pretty much everybody on the team right here, right? Well, this is everybody on the team right now. And you can see probably 2/3 of the team has a history of injuries, whether they did this year or not. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably 8 of them, this is 2 seasons in a row with a history of injuries. I mean, some of these aren't serious injuries, right? He's had 4 injuries, but he's only missed 12 days. But I think probably in a perfect world, Balicki would be gone, Przybecki would be gone, Hamiluk would be gone. Urbanchik, I might sell Urbanchik in the offseason. He's missed 3 months. And he's probably worth some money. 79,000. We may sell him in the offseason to get money. And Novak hasn't played great for us. He's supposed to be our other good mid-center, but you can see here, he played okay last season. Last 2 seasons, he's been okay. But he hasn't done anything this season. Now, that may just be the team has played badly, so he hasn't had a chance to really do much. But I don't think we have a world beater there at mid-center. So anyway, that's essentially it. We should be okay for the rest of the season. Injuries are a huge problem. Contracts were a huge problem. Morale was a problem getting through the break because of my vacationing and telling everybody to fuck off. I did complete a coaching class, though. So I do have my Continental C license now, so that's something. Finances are terrible. Since we signed all those contracts, that's put us over our payroll. I have a tiny little transfer budget. I think I'm just going to move it all to there, so we're not quite as over, although we still are over. And that's that, guys. I'll play a few more games. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. We're just trying to hang on, and then in the off season, maybe we can mold this team into something we want. I say we've got a core now that should be back, and we have a control over some of those, but how many of those we really, truly want, I don't know. We're going to have to see how much money we have and what we can do. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Cheers.